with what's something that you're feeling hopeful or curious about today. Let's use that as our check-in prompt for today. What's something you're feeling hopeful or curious about?
But I am hopeful to get some more stuff done today. It's kind of backed up on it, so just getting some more things done.
Alright. Just life stuff.
Yeah, just some housekeeping, follow up with people, scheduling, just planning for the week, and then the wedding is in like 11 days or so. So give them some more days, just take care of it from getting into it.
That's bad. Alright. And I guess we can just jump in.
I can say the same. Pretty much how well it's feeling. Just trying to, looking forward to what's coming. Focusing on getting the house in order for all of our family and stuff that's coming in. Look forward to that. So.
Yeah. That's right. What's y'all date again?
Next 22nd.
Okay. Countdown is on.
It is.
Countdown is on.
Is that a wedding I'm sensing coming?
Yes.
All right. Oh, good. Congrats.
Thank you.
Alright. What's something you're feeling hopeful or curious about today?
Hopeful. I think with me, man, I'm hopeful every day, man. I'm hopeful every day. It feels like we get another chance to take another swing, man, and chip away at this vision. So I'm always hopeful for just the journey, man. Taking a couple more steps forward, even if it's just one, man. I'm always hopeful for the outcome. Just pushing forward. Yeah.
How about you, Deirdre? I saw you were about to say something.
I'm hopeful for this project in general. Positively hopeful in the positive sense about it. And I'm very curious about what we're going to discuss today. And I'm hopeful for life. And I'm hopeful for a good life for all of us.
Love it. I mean, I would say I echo what Lawrence and Deirdre said. I'm really, hopeful about this project because, I've been, I know all of us have held this vision in different ways, in different contexts, at different times of our lives. This is a vision that I've been holding in my heart and mind for a long time, and to have, a committed handful of folks who are like, let's go. Makes me really hopeful, and excited, and a lot of gratitude. So I'm excited and, just curious about, like Lauren said, just putting the next foot in front as we take those steps towards the vision. So yeah, that's where I'm at today. So I also want to acknowledge really quick that we're live. We're going live to document this journey, this village planning journey, this collectively sustainable village planning journey. We're going to go live on YouTube, and eventually it's going to be going to some other platforms as well as we spread our wings, just so people can see, like, literally from inception. We started with this first session last time, and this is the second session, and we'll be able to, for those of us who are participating, if we ever want to look back, we can. But it's also, us, part of our vision is being a model, for how this can work and come together. So we're documenting it. So peace and hello to everyone who's watching the recording or anyone who's watching this live online. All right, so is this in the heartbeat, the link? Mello, are you able to drop the YouTube link in Heartbeat and invite anybody over in Heartbeat to come and check us out?
Yeah, it was.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
So the next thing we're going to talk about is just a recap of, just very briefly recap what we did in the last session. So if everyone remembers, we did the shared visioning activity, and that document is in the Google Drive for anyone who wants to go back and look at that. It's in the Google Drive. We also mapped our areas of interest where folks feel like, these are the areas that I want to contribute to do research and create proposals for the group to consider, across all the various domains of tasks that it's going to take to bring this vision to life. That was the focus, and just, casting a vision, coming together, and that's what we did. We connected, got to know each other a little better. For those of us who were here live, we broke bread together, and it was a really good time. So that's what we did last time. And to start today, on the agenda, the first item is to align and consent on the proposed culture statement and the shared values. So what I did was, to come up with the proposed culture statement, was I took everything that everyone put down when y'all answered the questions. There was 2 questions I asked everyone to answer. Let's see. All right, so the first thing we did was I asked everyone to take a few minutes to write one word or a short phrase for the key elements of your vision for a collectively sustainable village. Then I asked everyone to write 1 to 2 sentences to answer this question: what would you love to see this community embody and or achieve? So what I did was I took all of that and I came up with, for those of you who are also in the agenda, the following proposed culture statement. And let me drop it in the chat as well. So it is: collectively sustainable village is a living, evolving vision of care, joy, and liberation. We are co-creators rooted in friendship, guided by love for the earth and each other. Our culture grows from anti-oppression, spiritual alignment, and shared abundance. We embody peace, protection, and power with regenerating land and life through biomimicry, food sovereignty, and joyful cooperation. Together, we are building not just a village, but a thriving example of what becomes possible when people live in harmony with nature and one another. So that's just the initial proposal, y'all. What y'all want to do with that? What's resonating, what's not resonating? Let's start by what's resonating.
What's resonated for me is saying that we're co-creators. That really everything, but what really caught my attention was we are co-creators rooted in friendship, guided by love for the earth and each other. So that was a powerful statement. And just the concepts listed as far as food sovereignty, biomimicry, the joyful cooperation. So yeah, that's beautiful.
All right. Anybody else?
I concur. The main part is the shared abundance resonated with me the most. Well, everything. Like I said, it's beautifully. It came together beautifully. But co-creators, I agree with that, and that shared abundance. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else care to share any resonance?
I think
I love
that's,
it all too. I love it all. Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah, I definitely dig the entirety, but I think the peace, prosperity, and I forgot what the last sentence was. No, you good. Power with, there it is, power with. Peace, protection, and power with, yeah.
All right. So with that said, is there anything that does not resonate? Anything that doesn't resonate or that you would like to be said differently? That you think could be, like, you want to propose. Where am I typing?
The legs.
Yeah, if it feels sturdy, it's all.
Yeah. Gotcha. like it all.
Just one sentence that feels a little bit awkward to me.
Okay.
The last sentence in the first paragraph, our culture grows from anti-oppression, spiritual alignment, and shared abundance. It's just the phrase, our culture grows from, I'm wondering if it is rooted in or grows in sync with. It's just a grammar thing, literally, for me. But that's it, and that's minor and can be said. Everyone's gonna know what that means,
Well, can you
Tweak.
do you have any? And if anyone can throw this out here, but I'm gonna start with you, Deirdre, and I'm gonna look at it too. We can all take a moment to really think through it. But I would love to hear. Do you have an initial like proposal? How you would like to change it?
Our culture is rooted in, feels,
Well, the only thing about that is there's rooted in the previous sentence.
okay, oh, yeah, definitely.
How about embodies?
Embody the word.
Yeah,
Our culture embodies anti-oppression, spiritual alignment, and shared abundance.
Well, if we do embodies, I'm not sure still have an anti-oppression because it seems like the whole cultural statement is using positive. I mean, all of this positive. Positive language is just and it's kind of throw it off just a little bit.
So liberation instead of anti-oppression.
I would say liberation. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's more of a positive connotation. So
Okay. The only thing there
you
is
got embody in the first sentence of the next paragraph.
sure do. Maybe some of it's redundant because we also have liberation in the first sentence.
Maybe take that one out.
Yeah, you're redundant. So yeah.
So let's talk more about anti-oppression. You're saying I want to talk a little bit more about that because I think what I hear you saying is it's not a positive word. It's like naming something that's not positive and everything else kind of names something that's positive. Anti-oppression is naming something very directly that we're walking away against. So I want to know if like anybody else, like how strongly, does anyone else like want to second the idea like anti-oppression? How we should walk away, like move away from that term? Because there's a part of me that likes naming that. You know what I mean? Part of me that likes naming anti-oppression.
Okay.
So what are you saying? Proposing instead?
So we're looking at the culture statement. Do you see it? So we're looking at the culture statement and we're just talking through it, like what we like, what we want to propose maybe changing.
Okay.
And right now we're looking at that last sentence in the first paragraph that says our culture grows from anti-oppression, spiritual alignment, and shared abundance. It's on the agenda and it's also in the chat of the Zoom. Where are you now?
Locking in.
To my little Mother's Day, like beverage, or trying to keep my mind right from that one.
Can somebody else, anybody else speak? Like, are there any second anti-oppression? Like, what's the energy around removing anti-oppression?
Removing the word.
Removing the word anti-oppression. Mello proposed like changing anti-oppression to something else or getting rid of it because it's like a negative word versus everything else being more like a positive word. And I was saying I kind of like naming anti-oppression. I'm not totally against it if the group, if it's like a strong energy towards removing it, but I did want to name, there's something powerful for me for naming that's something that we're moving away from in some ways. So grows from, it's kind of like we learn from anti-oppression or we grow from, we evolve, we emerge. We talked about embody, but embody is used at the beginning of the first paragraph. We talked about potentially changing anti-oppression and liberation, but liberation is already named in the first sentence. And then I'm also saying I kind of like anti-oppression.
Yeah, I like the energy around.
So what about our culture emerges? Like you said, emerge. So I mean, verbiage from spiritual alignment and shared abundance. Is that, I don't know.
Hey, Felicia.
Hey, y'all. I was saying, I hear you, Mello, like, that's a thought that I've had too, in terms of like shifting the language from it being, you know, the negative to like a positive language. I like positive language in general, like shifting words and, language in that way. At the same time, I also hear the lens that Sanjana is speaking from and naming that, so like, maybe I'm putting in there, naming that we're shifting from, an oppressive state to liberatory state of mind and being. So like naming both.
Shifting from anti-oppressive ways, our culture grows from, or grows in spiritual alignment. Shared abundance.
Going into a.
So how about like our culture, like our culture is transitioning away from, our culture transitions away, or our culture is informed by transitioning away from anti-oppression towards spiritual alignment and shared abundance.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like that. That's
Away from anti, I mean, we're, just to clarify, just a clarification, if we're anti-oppression,
Right.
just to make, are we shifting to like being and being, not being oppressed?
yeah, that's what, yeah, it's like shifting it from being to, say it one more time, or?
So it would be away from oppression.
Right, from oppression, okay,
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
You get towards spiritual.
Thank you for naming that, Deani and Deirdre. Our culture is a shift away from oppression.
Oppressive
Yeah, oppressive systems.
system, thank you.
Our culture is a shift away. I said transition, didn't I?
Yeah, you said transition, I like transition from anti-oppression to spiritual, I think that's what you said.
Yeah, our culture is a transition away from oppressive systems towards spiritual alignment and shared abundance. Our culture is a transition away from, do y'all like that? A transition away from oppressive systems towards spiritual alignment and shared abundance?
It's the transition.
Not just a transition, our culture transitions away.
Culture transitions from.
Yeah, just transitions. Away.
How about us away? Our culture transitions us away from oppressive systems towards spiritual alignment and shared abundance.
There it is.
That's it.
I like that. How, everybody's a go on that?
Yep.
All right. And, okay, anything else? Anyone else notice anything else that you want to propose we look at closer?
I'm wondering if, towards the end there, but a thriving example of what becomes possible. Can we say like what, this isn't right, but along the lines of what beauty becomes possible, what, but an example of the thriving, lives become possible when, I'm not so sure about a thriving example, maybe.
Okay. But, okay, so together we're building not just a village, but a example of what beauty becomes, but you're saying something there behind what? So you're saying get rid of thriving of what blank becomes possible is what you're proposing?
Or it can be thriving example of what blank becomes else
Just name
possible?
beauty.
Beauty? Or you're saying you're reaching for something else beyond beauty?
Yeah. Sounds like it.
Yeah, I know that's the word, beauty's the right word. I don't think it is actually.
That's a thriving example of what becomes possible when people live in harmony with nature and one another.
I like it as it is.
Not just a village, but a thriving example of what becomes possible when people live in harmony. I like it as it is too.
How about thriving example of what is possible when people live in harmony with nature and another?
So, what is possible?
That thriving what is possible.
Yeah, simple.
I like that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very positive.
Yeah, because saying is or saying like we're doing this now comes it's kind of like
We're still working.
we're
I
still
mean, we're not still working, but
Mhm.
it's speaking.
To the present.
Yeah, it speaks to more presence. Because it's a balance, you know, the culture statement is a balance of the present and what you're working towards. You know, what's pulling you. So, but it's something about it is here that is powerful to me as well.
It's more like that manifestation power.
Deirdre, you still feeling something you want to try to throw out there to propose to us, or you
No, and I just love what is in a way that almost takes care of the little if feeling that was happening.
Yeah.
okay. All right, so let's take a look one more time. I'm gonna read it out loud. Collectively sustainable village is a living, evolving vision of care, joy, and liberation. We're co-creators rooted in friendship, guided by love for the earth and each other. Our culture transitions us away from oppressive systems towards spiritual alignment and shared abundance. We embody peace, protection, and power with, regenerating land and life through biomimicry, food sovereignty, and joyful cooperation. Together, we are building not just a village, but a thriving example of what is possible when people live in harmony with nature and one another.
I like it.
That's strong.
That's strong, feels good. All right, so the way that this process generally, that I generally facilitate this process, y'all, is that once we lock in on a culture statement, it's just something we look at annually as new people come aboard. So it's like as new people come aboard and join us, they are reading this as one of the first things they see to see, hold on, am I in alignment with this? That's one of those kind of like filters to determine if they want to join us. Because we've already taken this step, we've consented on it together. So their consent at a later stage is just saying that aligns and I want to work with them, collaborate with them. And then each year we can all look at it together with everyone who's present, who's come on board, and we can say, does it still work for us? Does it need to evolve as we evolve? All right, so the next thing is shared values. These are the shared values that we get right from the Collectively Sustainable website. And I figured we could start with these and, talk about where we get the chat. Okay, I'm gonna put them in the chat as well. If y'all need to see it there. I think everybody's in the document though. Y'all are all in the doc, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we don't need to check. All right, so let's take a look at these and see, is there anything that needs to, I guess, by taking a look at it, just, let's say, is there anything here that does not feel in alignment with our vision? Anything that does not feel in alignment? Let's start there.
We're talking about number 3.
Number 3.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, y'all get to see a little bit, everybody, because I'm trying to type as well. And let me speak to a little bit about how I'm envisioning us using these shared values based on this process that I'm facilitating for us. So this is all a part of the shared governance and shared decision-making and collaborative decision-making process, where we have regular check-ins. And when we have check-ins, we look at our shared values and we look at our culture statement. And then we ask, is there anything currently happening within our day-to-day operations or within our relationships as a collective that feels in alignment with our shared values and our culture statement? And that's a chance for us to give each other some kudos, some shout outs, some pats on the back. And then we talk about anything that feels misaligned in our day-to-day operations, in our relationships as a collective, that with our shared values and culture statement. And then if someone notices a misalignment, then they can name it and then just tie it to a portion of the culture statement or a specific shared value. And they can say, you know, for example, I noticed that the other day that Joe Schmo left a piece of trash outside, and that is misaligned with our value of respect for nature, you know, something like that, right? And then we can be like, well, what do we need to do to get back in it? Then we go through a process of, you know, what do we need to try to get back into alignment? And someone can say, well, maybe we need to put a trash can over near that area to make it easier so that don't happen again. And then we have a process for checking in on the decisions that we make together until they become integrated in our culture. So that's the kind of a high, you know, and look at the process. Does that make sense? Anyone have any questions about that?
So let's say someone coming in, how would you describe art-based solutions? So people can have their different interpretations of it.
All right, let's talk about that. Man with the plan. What's that? These are heart-based solutions. Heart-based solutions. Mello said, how would you describe that?
Oh, I never even saw that before.
Oh, so you didn't create these?
No.
Oh, okay. So the person who did the website created these.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking at it like, I'm like, oh, art-based solutions.
You know, so I really thought that you had already.
I did too.
Cynthia did.
Cynthia put these.
Yeah.
Okay. So Cynthia will probably watch this recording. Cynthia did the website and Cynthia put these values. All right. So what I did was I just said, let's start here, because I typically have an exercise that I take. You know, teams or like relationships, because I do this whole process in my personal relationships and for my clients. We do this check-in process to you know, stay aligned and collaborate, etc.
Had one this morning.
Right, we had one for our little communal living environment yesterday with the children, and then today with the adults. We go through the same process, and it help us proactively communicate, helps us proactively resolve conflict. And it just keeps us aligned and collaborative in a really, really dope way. And it just works.
It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful process, y'all. So with that said, instead of going through a whole activity around sourcing values like I typically would do, I said, well, how about we just take the values from the website that I thought Lawrence did, but now we know Cynthia did, and talk through those and, you know, see what fits us, what doesn't, what needs to change, what's missing needs to be added. Typically, I like to get it down to 5. So that's what I was hoping that we could do, where we maybe consolidate some of these into, you know, something as well. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to talk through and consolidate down to 5. So since Cynthia isn't here to speak on what she meant by each of these, let's just infer. So let's start at the top. Action with intention. Action with intention.
I just knew that was Lawrence.
Yeah, no, because I would have said reciprocity. I was looking for my own word on the stage. I came in with I was loaded already, so I would replace that with reciprocity.
So here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna come back.
Okay.
Let's just add all the options.
Proposals.
Yeah, let's take all the proposals.
Okay.
Reciprocity. That's not that right. All right. So reciprocity. Anyone else have anything else that feels like that's in alignment with that you want to put up there, and then we'll consolidate it to make it our own little phrase or word? We may decide we want to just keep reciprocity, or we may want to combine it into like another 3-word, 2-word type phrase. So action with intention, though, I guess what that means and what it speaks to is like really what we're doing now, and even with like having regular check-ins, that's intentional. You know, building a community, a village in the ways that we're doing, that's intentional. I feel like everything that we're doing is in alignment with intention. Yeah, does anyone else feel a need to say anything about that, or anything else about that, or maybe add something to that, or you feel like you have another way of saying it?
Yeah, for me, when I hear action with intention, I think about power within, in collaboration, and using that as that value instead of action with intention.
I would say meaningful action.
Or intentionality. I mean, I love intentionality.
Meaningful action. Can you say something about that? Meaningful action? And like when you think about a value, especially a value that's like gonna anchor us, right? A value that is gonna be something that we come back to that you may notice some misalignment with. Do you think, for example, do you think you would notice some misalignment with meaningful action? Where you'd be like, hey, I think that, you know what I'm saying? Like, is that something like when it comes to like say a collaborative decision making or collaborative conflict resolution conversation where you would want to be able to pull that one and name it? That's how I want y'all to think about all these.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that term is weird.
Yeah, that could be interpreted a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
What's
So meaningful either way.
That's why I like reciprocity, because it's basically what you put in, you get out. It's you can conclude anything, whatever way somebody presents it, is it reciprocal in nature? Did you put in what you expect to get out? It doesn't matter what phrase we can or what scenario we can throw that into, it always ties somebody back to equal action with intention. So reciprocity kind of sums it up a lot of the times.
One of the things that I like reciprocity, and one of the things that comes up for me when I hear reciprocity a lot of times, especially with the word equal being in there, is it takes away from equity, which could present ableist sometimes. So equitable reciprocity, sounds like something that would be worth adding if we use reciprocity.
Equitable reciprocity.
So I'm looking at the definition of reciprocity: the practice of exchanging things with others for mutual benefit, especially privileges granted by one, it says country or organization to another. In this case, it would be one person, individual to another. Exchanging things with others for mutual benefit. That makes sense. How does that land with you? Mutual benefit.
Mutual aid, mutual benefit.
I hear what Kenesha's saying. Do you want to say anything about that? Like, do you have any pushback against the equal versus mutual? You okay with mutual?
Equity versus
equity
equality.
versus equality.
Yeah.
I think it just be further definition, because reciprocity, I believe, is like, I think reciprocity by itself is whole enough to encompass equal and equitable.
I hear you.
Okay.
So it's reciprocity in its entirety. If I just say that, it needs to be reciprocal value. I can interpret it. We can have our own interpretation. Somebody else can have our own interpretation. It's always going to be like an even swap and a swindle. We're coming up with our equitable exchange through our reciprocal value. And it doesn't have to be encapsulated with just us. They can go other places. I just feel like it's already holistically rounded out as what it is.
Okay. All right. So
Sorry y'all can't see me.
all right.
I like mutualism, though. It kind of like from mutualism, it kind of states that it's beneficial to every party that's involved. Yeah, I like mutualism. The spirit is really cool.
All right. Let me just I'm just gonna add that to the list. I think that I like that. Are you okay with me taking away meaningful action
Yeah,
and replacing it with mutualism? You know, you in my wheelhouse with that, because now we're getting to like symbiosis terms. Mutualism is a type of symbiotic relationship where two or more species benefit from their interaction. So yeah, I feel like, reciprocity also can be brought into like that meaning as well. Reciprocity, mutualism, power with collaboration. I think all those are synonymous for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll come back to it. Let's move to the next one. We'll leave all those there. Let's come back. Respect for nature. What are we saying here?
Stewardship.
Stewardship. Yeah, stewardship.
Eco-friendly.
Stewardship, eco-friendly.
I like stewardship. Indigenization.
Yeah, stewardship does it for me too.
Stewardship. Yeah, stewardship. Definitely.
Anyone want to add anything or bring a different perspective? Feels like a lot of energy is like, yeah, stewardship nails it for this one.
I like, learning from nature. It's not just about how we care for nature, but we actually learn from it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think that's the base of stewardship.
I was gonna say, I think that
It's co-creative. Stewardship is co-creative.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
I'm gonna write it here for now as well. Learning from nature. But yeah, that's kind of what I think of when I think of stewardship. That kind of like that mutualist, relationship. It's like including nature in that. It's not just with each other as humans. This is like us serving nature and also learning from and benefiting what nature gives to us in return. That's kind of how I feel. But okay.
I've never fully understood the definition of stewardship, so now I do.
But you know what? That's the thing. Like a lot of places, you're gonna see different things. Like because I just did a quick Google search of it, and I don't like this definition from the Oxford Dictionary. But if you go to I've been to certain like websites where people, that's like their work stewardship, and they give a beautiful example of what it means. So we can make it mean what we want to.
What's the dictionary say?
It just says the job of supervising or taking care of something, such as an organization or a property.
Yeah, but that definition kind of takes away from learning from nature aspect.
Yeah.
I can see why.
So stewardship.
Yes, the colonial definition of it.
Absolutely.
Definition. I still look at the word stewardship.
Let me see. Let me put indigenous.
It's just a
first.
matter of people coming in, how would they view that word as well.
Yeah, what maybe we can do is we can add like a little sentence underneath each one too. Maybe we can do that.
Yeah.
Indigenous.
Learning from nature through stewardship.
I'm just curious. I want to see if something pops up if I put like indigenous definition.
I also like using the word nature.
Actually, land stewardship.
Yeah.
Here, just add a sentence.
Yeah, it's a lot more obviously. So indigenous land stewardship refers to the sustainable management and use of land by indigenous peoples guided by traditional knowledge, values, and practices. It involves cultivating, adapting, and transferring knowledge to ensure the health and well-being of the land and its people, while also respecting cultural connections and historical relationships with the environment. So, all right, I think what we have. Anyone want to add anything else? We can do like the whole little sentence thing underneath.
Something about a connection to nature and the way that
Connection.
the connection to nature, it's a natural.
That's a phrase.
This is where you can put something about symbiosis.
ChatGPT that says honoring all my relations. So probably we could.
You said honoring what?
All my relations. It's a common phrase used.
All my relations
Yeah, I think that kind of
encompasses.
aspect of the stewardship.
Okay.
So,
That's kind of like a respect for nature and people or nature type thing. All living things. All right. All right, let's go to authentic dialogue. For me, I would just add that's just like proactive conflict resolution.
Or collaborative consensus decision making.
effective conflict resolution, collaborative decision making,
Mediation.
mediation, consent, nonviolent communication. I feel like it embodies all those things.
Yeah. And I feel like it embodies violence and collaboration.
Yeah. Anyone want to say anything, add anything, question anything? All right. Service with sincerity.
Yeah, that's what y'all knew it should
I
have been.
think that could
That's
probably
what
go
y'all knew
under
it should have been.
reciprocity,
When we
mutualism,
That part.
that, intentional peace. I think that could go under that, that can be
Under
consolidated.
intentionality, yes.
So basically, service with sincerity, yeah, that can be consolidated with the ones above.
Mhm.
That's a good call out.
Mhm.
Definitely can. That's how we get rid of one.
Yeah, and I thought about that earlier with building real community, that could be consolidated with the one at the top as well.
Yeah, living with gratitude also, I don't think that really
Building real community.
is a
Um,
category.
So, yeah, I want to go one by one. Hold on, I'm sorry. So we're at living in gratitude. But I did hear you. I'm gonna put a pin in that in my brain. So living in gratitude, Lawrence is saying that's not necessary. I guess I would, and what I'm hearing between the lines and when I think about it is like we can't tell everyone's going to experience gratitude and share gratitude based on their own heart and mind. I don't think we can hold each other accountable as like a core value for our village
Yeah,
to say live in gratitude. Would y'all agree with that?
I agree.
Let that like naturally emerge?
Yeah, that could come with some toxic positivity, somebody not being in a good space and being like, you need to be in the gratitude.
Toxic positivity.
That's
So right now, the proposal on the table is to remove living in gratitude. Does anyone have a different way of seeing this, or want to say something? Or is there anyone who does not consent to removing this?
It did resonate with me just as a very sort of spiritual value, the concept of gratitude.
yeah, it is.
I'm glad you said it that way, Deirdre, because for me, that's one of the reasons why I think we can remove it. Because spirituality is such a like personal thing, right? It's like such a personal embodiment. And because we have spirituality in our culture statement, we have, it's where towards spiritual alignment. Gratitude is going to emerge from each of us individually in those ways, and I think it can be removed from here. How's that sound to you, Deirdre?
Oh, yeah, that's
All right. So one of the things I didn't say that I'll take the time to explain is like when going through consent-based decision-making processes, if you all can imagine like a bell curve, this is the top of it and then it goes out and out like this, right? At the very top of the bell curve is everyone's preference when it comes to any decision. That's everyone's preference. We all have it. When there's a decision that needs to be made, we all have our top preference. But then as that bell curve starts moving out and down, there's something away from the preference to the right and the left of it is what's called your range of tolerance. Your range of tolerance says it's good enough for now and safe enough to try, right? And then beyond your range of tolerance is when things start to feel oppressive in some way to you or harmful to you in some way. So when you're in a consent-based decision-making process, you're going to share your preference, or someone's going to make a proposal, and it may not be in alignment with your preference, but if it's in your range of tolerance, and it feels good enough for now and safe enough to try, then we just move on. So when I say, is there anyone who does not consent? That means it's in that place of being harmful or feeling oppressive to you. That's when it's important to continue to speak up. Continue to speak up. Does that make sense to everyone? All right. Heart-based solutions. Yeah, I think that's vague and it's I don't think it's needed for the process and the way that I facilitate this and what in terms of like core values. Because I feel like that's a given, right? We're all gonna bring our hearts and we're gonna be trying to make, decisions that are
It's
aligned with who
included
we are.
in the authentic dialogue paragraph.
Yeah.
It does, it fits there. All right, let's move on up.
And maybe to put it in a sentence there would be, I like the way it feels. So put in it, heart-based solutions in the sentence of authentic dialogue paragraph.
Okay,
Pretty cool.
okay.
Because I like the way heart-based
Let's
solutions
see,
feel.
I don't like heart-based solutions.
What don't you like about it?
Solutions from the heart. All-encompassing solutions from the heart. It kind of voids the rationale side, and a lot of times we can lead with our heart, base things with our heart, and make the wrong or improper solution. So, yeah, I don't like heart-based solutions.
So you feel like it excludes practicality?
Yeah, sometimes it can.
Sometimes. Okay.
Holistic solutions. You feel like
Holistic.
it excludes like a holistic.
Yeah, I like holistic solutions.
I like holistic.
I like
Taking away
encompassing everything as a solution, not just what we feel from our heart space, but data as well. Like understanding how we can, conceptualize
That makes sense.
things we color.
So the reason why I personally don't think it's needed at all, because I feel like in a process like this, those things are happening automatically. You got some of us who are putting our heart out there, some of us who are putting those practical thoughts on the table, some of us who are bringing that analytical database, things to the table. And when we put all that together, and that's how we move forward, make decisions.
Collective solutions.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's a given in the collective process that we're already doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anyone who that doesn't vibe with, or? All right. Is there anyone who doesn't agree with me that that's like redundant? That doesn't need to be said in that way.
I can see your point.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, liberation, individual freedom. Liberation is huge. Agency. I love naming these things. I think that's important. In the type of relationships that we're co-creating together, in the ways that we're going to be working together and creating together, co-creating together, I think it's important to continue to make sure that liberation, agency, individual freedom, inclusivity, things like that, there's space for that. That's my thoughts, and I just dropped them real quick. I'm open to, obviously, anyone else have thoughts they want to add to this part of the conversation, or say anything, or disagree.
I can't think of a word, but speaking to the fact that, your individual freedom doesn't impose on somebody else's individual freedom. There's a word for it.
Natural law.
Reciprocity.
Reciprocity. You already said reciprocity, mutualism, reciprocity, all those things, maybe?
I'm digging agency, special agency.
So for me, this, when you talk about a collective, right? It's like, I think some people is like, well, if we're collective, is there, individual freedom? Is there a place for that? With liberation, and is there a place for that in a collective? And I think the way that I think about it is just encouraging folks to show up as themselves, and then, the whole idea of authentic dialogue is, like, one of the definitions to authentic dialogue is that, or one of the ways that it's explained, is that it's like thinking together. And when people are thinking together, we create something that's never been created before. So if we put our minds together like we're doing today, we're creating something that wouldn't have been created if the people that are here and present and thinking and talking it wouldn't have been created in the way that it's being created without all of our individual thoughts. So it's like, that's the beauty of it. It's like everyone's bringing their whole self, their whole autonomous, liberated self to the conversation, and trusting that together we can create something new and create something meaningful and beneficial. I think that takes you away from like groupthink, dogma, the whole idea of like cults and things like that, because we're not asking everyone to say you know, we all got to be the same and think the same and think with one brain and, you know, a set of laws. It's like, no, we bring our liberated selves to the table and we figure it out all the time, type of thing. That would be how I'm holding it. All right, everyone's clear? Y'all feel like that says enough? All right, y'all good with it? We feel like it's needed? Okay, so that's number 4. And then building real community. That's a tough one for me, but I'll let somebody else speak first on this one.
I mean, it should just speak into authenticity.
Building real community.
It just felt like still speaking to mutualism, mutual aid,
Yeah.
and support.
Yeah, mutual aid, support.
With authenticity, like when she says real, I guess that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Genuine. Like family oriented, chosen family.
I mean, I guess this is kind of redundant. Collective support is like
Co-creation. Yeah, it is redundant.
It's already in the.
co-creation. I guess so we got that goes with the top one to me. All those things go up there, right?
Y'all know me, I like the idea of adding some like joy to these statements, like, you know, what it can feel, the joy, can feel the vibrancy, the music.
Okay.
So maybe feeling vibrant.
Let's throw this up here.
Thriving, joyful, words like that.
So something around like joy.
Creative joy.
And fun.
Creative passion.
And pleasure.
Pleasure, bliss.
Bliss. Anything around, is this vibing with y'all? Anyone that's not vibing with, and why? Something along these lines that we can, you know, be mindful of together and create space for together. It's like one of our values that we want to make sure that there is joy, fun, pleasure, bliss as a part of our collective.
Balance.
Things like that.
How
How about wellness?
I like wellness. Wellness is more than joy. I think those things are subjective. Wellness is just like encompassing of those things. I like wellness.
I mean, so I guess it's fair to say that all of them are they're all going to be subjective, right? Joy, fun, pleasure, bliss, balance, wellness. That's going to mean something different to all of us. But I feel like it can be I'm okay, and I guess I'm saying I'm good with like the proposal of having something there that we can touch on and speak to and anchor us when we want to say something's out of balance here. It feels misaligned. This element isn't present in our day to day, in our relationships, etc. So do you feel like wellness is a good general? I mean, we have those there, but do y'all think wellness is like the leading one, like that can embody all of them? Or wellness and bliss? How about if we propose for that one, like wellness and bliss, and then we can make a sentence with the rest?
I would say, I wouldn't use
Or
bliss
joy.
at
Wellness
yeah,
and
I would say joy.
I would say joy.
Yeah, joy is one of those things that can be embodied without things being perfect. Like bliss is more of a like, it's an ignorance kind of like.
That's what you're saying. Yeah, because she would feel joy and happy. But still, something
This is so sweet.
All right, not done with that, you're supposed to clear it
Yeah, I'm
up.
just still, I think it's safe enough to try.
Okay.
Yeah, I like wellness as a standalone. I
What's
think
your
we-
resistance?
well, I think I'm just thinking about like really living like how we're saying we're gonna live, because we have a little bit more of a foot into the process,
Mhm.
and sometimes it's not joyful.
Mhm.
Sometimes you gotta do it because it needs to be done. Sometimes things don't feel good, even though they're for your betterment. So it's for your wellness, but you gotta get up at 6 o'clock. You gotta do it when it's cold and rainy.
Mhm.
You know, you have to be uncomfortable while you do it, but it's for your wellness.
Yeah.
And I like that better. The joy and the bliss is kind of like when it comes to practical
Mhm.
and we're tying it to values,
Mhm.
it's not always there. But
So I
it's still
spoke to that, like the
beneficial.
difference between joy and bliss, like where, like I've been doing some studying on joy as it relates to it, not just meaning, perfection. That's what I spoke to, it not just meaning that things are always like great, but that you can embody joy even in times where you know you have to push through this thing you might not wanna do, or you can embody joy like even through navigating grief, you know, as opposed to bliss being that state of ignorance and like, oh, I'm always so happy and feeling good despite, you know, everything.
I was thinking of joy more today, and Kanisha as well.
So how about wellness and then joy is a part of the sentence that's gonna go under it, or you feel like you're still advocating for wellness and joy?
I think that we could speak to both and, like what Lawrence is speaking to, that like embodying wellness, joy and pleasure and all these things is not absent of,
The grind,
The-
that's
yeah.
gonna take that time.
or even navigating grief, navigating anger, like it's not, you know, navigating wellness and joy is not absent of those things. So I think that's what he's feeling into. So I'd like to maybe come up with a statement to embody like what he's feeling into it about.
No, it's okay though too.
So Lawrence said it's good enough to try, and he
Yeah.
gave us his perspective, right?
Yeah.
So Mello, can you speak to more, like I wanna hear how you would voice, with considering what Lawrence said, because I'm gonna come bring this back to y'all next time and make these little sentences underneath. So can you speak a little bit about your vision as well, how it's in alignment with Kanisha, how you can see having to get up at 6 a.m. when it's raining cold can still be an embodiment of wellness and joy? Or it
I was
doesn't,
just saying,
well, yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
just joy in general. I know Kanisha mentioned that well, Kanisha, you did mention studies around joy. And I just pulled up the definition as well that I can relate to. It's like I said, I mean, it's more like an anchor. It's like one of the emotions
Yeah.
you can use to get you through things instead of, it's different from happy. Happy is more temporary, joy is more enduring, something that you could have as an anchor. So as a value, I would rather see joy. It's like wellness. We all want wellness, but if we was to put a value of wellness, it seems like all the other values we have kind of correlate or kind of revolve around wellness. So I feel that that's pretty much a given. And joy is bringing a different I mean, not necessarily a different concept, but it just feel like something I can pull off of, me personally. But I think both of them are pretty much similar. Like, we could use either one.
I really like it.
I think joy just stand out to me.
Joy is not the absence of suffering.
Like really promotes resilience,
Yeah.
promotes resilience, or just joy, you know, I'm trying to find the right word, but joy and resilience can go hand in hand. Just a thought.
Okay. Thank you, Deani. Thank you, Mello.
I'm having a feeling that they're both really important, but they're both not the same thing, but actually putting them in the same category feels a little like diminishes the core meaning of each. In a way, I love Lawrence's description of wellness. And I have a strong feeling about the world needs to joy, it's been taken away, it's been diminished in importance. And it's so important, it's like the social get-togethers, you know, how important those are.
Right.
I feel like those are examples of it, I get, that's my 2 cents.
No, that makes all
That's it.
that makes all the sense in the world. Like, and Lawrence is one of the main folks. Like, you got stewardship center, you need to do socials too. You know what I mean? So I love, you know, the idea that we should center and make sure, like, if we are in the grinds, like, all right, but what are we doing to bring some joy about too? You know.
You know what?
So I think
Yeah.
I think joy is it's important to keep that at the forefront as well. Because we gotta, I wanted this to be, and for morale, I want this to be joyful. I don't want this to be presenting, just to be presenting that this is all just about grind and grit and hustle. And nah, this is a lot of joyness involved, a lot of joy that's involved in what we're doing as well. And I love being able to name that.
Yeah.
So it does feel right to me for joy to stand alone. It really does. The question is, you know, would anyone be opposed to like joy standing alone? Because I hear some of y'all saying it doesn't go with wellness. Most people, I feel like, are saying that.
I would also say that joy is like it'll help promote your well-being.
Right, true.
Essentially, so, I don't disagree with joy being in the forefront, because eventually your wellness and well-being is gonna benefit from the joy being cultivated wherever you choose to cultivate it in or at.
Yeah.
So here's okay, because that goes in line with what Mello was saying. He feels like all of these play into wellness, you know. So it sounds like we're like, maybe we don't need the name wellness. But here's my question about that.
I don't know.
1, 2, 3.
What do we have right now? 6?
5, 6. Yeah.
6. Right now there's 6 lines, right? Because there's something that's missing is safety. You know, and wellness can embody safety in my mind.
I think wellness and authentic dialogue embody safety and power. I feel like
Safer, you know,
the safer spaces.
safer spaces, like something that keeps us in mind, like that we're making sure that we're not causing harm, or there's a voice of a value of not causing harm, of a value of keeping each other safe. And wellness and keeping each other well, you know, something that captures that. We literally that's one of our values that we talked about today in one of our in our household meeting check-in, where I was talking about like just being mindful around cleanliness, around washing hands and feet and things like that when we transition inside the house from outside, and I was able to tie my underlying need to wellness. The value that I was feeling like was in misalignment with what I was seeing was wellness. So it's like, what about when stuff like that happens in community and we want to be able to talk about those things where people aren't feeling totally safe or like well, or, you know, I feel like something needs to be there for that. Is it wellness? Wellness and safety.
Yeah.
Mental,
something like that.
mental and physical well-being, maybe.
Well-being.
Emotional and physical accountability or support or something like that. Support. Or co-creating brave space.
Holistic wellness.
You're saying
Collective wellness.
collective wellness, holistic wellness. You're saying holistic and collective wellness encompasses safety?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe holistic wellness also encompasses like joy as well. Even though I still say, yeah, joy should be a standalone, but I think we are going to kind of start dancing on the other ones that are already there, because we're saying holistic, you know, or wellness in a broad fashion.
Wellness or well-being? Do y'all think it matters? Collective well-being. I like collective well-being. That feels good. What do y'all think about that?
Mental, physical, emotional well-being.
How could ChatGPT well-being versus wellness? The main two differences was well-being it's a state of being, and wellness is an active pursuit. So I really want to work on that end. It's an active pursuit.
Well-being is what?
State of
State
being.
of
Well-being is a state of being, and wellness is focusing more on the active pursuit.
So we talk about a shared value that anchors us. It seems like being is an anchoring, more of an anchoring term, the way I'm hearing that.
Yeah.
Keeps us anchored, something we're always coming back to is like making sure that we feel like we're mentally, physically, safe and well.
And you say wellness, there's leisure on diet, sleep, and exercise, and well-being. There's like life satisfaction. I mean, so yeah, we kind of get at that edge.
So well-being still
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
more relevant. Okay.
You have something?
No.
And then I think about it.
All right. So
Say you not try.
right now we have 6. Is it like we're good with 6? We didn't land on 5, but these 6 categories feel necessary. Or is there any that y'all feel like anything can be consolidated into another one? Or y'all like, nah, this 6, this is it. This lands. We good with 6.
I like 6.
Okay. All right.
I
I'll
wanted something to add to the joy point, and that is celebration.
Oh,
yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
Celebration ceremony.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Life is a ceremony.
Yeah, we gotta celebrate.
And living our
Absolutely.
community, like living it literally like a living ceremony. For real.
Indeed.
Like that, DJ.
All right, y'all. So let's talk about next. Let's move on to proposal presentations, clarifying questions, and group reflection. So basically, each person in a small group shares their research, resources, and initial proposals. There's a folder I created in the drive for what I call steward groups, I think. Steward groups. And then for each steward group, like there's a folder for land. And what I'm asking y'all to do is like add a folder or just ask me to add a folder for what each one is. I didn't do it for all of them. But like in land, there's a land working doc. And in that working doc, you can organize it any way you want, but I just did this as a template, as an example. It's like ideas and proposals, resources, and then Q&A. Anyone who has a question for the particular ideas and proposals can ask it here, and that working group would answer them. And we would have those answers. It's like an ongoing ideas, proposals, Q&A, living, breathing document within each folder. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
All right. So, with that said, I know that we had some folks. There's a doc in there. I'm gonna drop it in the chat where folks put their name next to their working group, steward group. It's called steward group. I just dropped a link to the steward group in the chat, and I know. Some of us were able to do research, like Cynthia, for example, she sent it to me, and I can share what she has. I personally did not get to any research this week on, I have housing and fundraising as mine, it's housing and governance, but I know Mello did some governance stuff. But anyway, let's just start with who was able to get some things done that you would like to share as some initial proposals. And yeah.
I'll go. I just one of my stewardship groups was childcare.
Okay.
And I just kind of came up with some questions to focus on when it comes to that, or just that I had when it comes to the structure. I'll pull it up, and if I can just share, or I'm gonna drop the link to the document in here, and then you can organize it. However,
Okay.
really quick.
You know what, y'all? This, as I'm saying this and talking about it, right? It's some of them sound like there's seems like we need to figure out our order of priority.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things like childcare that aren't going to be as relevant now as that initial getting this off the ground type of research. So I think that could be dropped in dropped in, and it's like when we get to it. Can we do that? Can we just take some time, like, kind of prioritize? Does that make sense to everyone?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And there might even be some that's not on here yet. So let's go ahead and I'm back in that doc. And Deanna, you can then drop the link in the doc, the Steward Groups doc.
Okay,
Deanna, did I say Deanna? I'm sorry.
yes, it's right.
Sorry, Deanna. All right, y'all. So priorities, current priorities, and then future priorities. Or we can say like pre-village
Mm-hmm.
priorities, and then like post-village launch. Let's do it that way. Pre-village launch priorities, post-village launch priorities. Help me out, y'all. What's some of the housing,
Yep.
land,
Quantity, like how many
Legal.
people.
legal,
We had, space holder,
fundraising, space holder? We're gonna throw that in post.
was on
Child care, post. You said design,
it.
that's pre, that goes with like housing and land, right?
Food production.
Design,
Conflict resolution,
food,
onboarding,
Onboarding process.
lack of governance. I think we mentioned governance.
Maybe some type
It
of
was
like
16 overall.
mindset transition, process type thing. Or you think that's kind of like a given with those of us who choose
That's
them?
kind of like.
For food systems.
In general.
Yeah.
I think that's all. Who said energy?
Yeah.
If anyone else is in the doc, if y'all can help me move some of these along. I'm just gonna let's like copy and paste them down. Let's put them in where they belong. Do that.
I'll start bringing my computer out.
Land search.
You got all the things, so you're good.
All right. And with this, y'all, legal, fundraising, what else do we say? It's like that. New member onboarding process. That's something that Cynthia sent. I'm gonna add it here. We're currently using collectively sustainable's process to filter people into this, right? And then there's also gonna be one once it's kind of post. So I guess this is for like post, right? Governance. That's post, right? We're talking post with that one. And Mello, you said that's the one is that the one you added already? Mello, you sent in the in Heartbeat in the group chat?
I think the government should be before. When they-
Yeah,
I think that should
Same
definitely-
reaction, I was having the same reaction.
All right, we even had that ahead of time. All right. Outreach marketing, Cynthia has some stuff for that. Is that a both thing? Yeah, that's a both thing, I think. I think that's a both thing. We're always gonna be doing outreach and stuff. Energy. Is that its own thing or that's yeah, I guess that's gonna be its own thing too.
Yeah, I think that's gonna go with. design.
Deirdre, as I'm doing this, I don't know if you can type, but can you put your name next to the ones that you were interested in?
Yes,
Or you can tell me and I'll put your name.
I'm doing it.
All right. Thank you. And what I'll do is eventually just come in here and link all of these to the particular folder where we'll keep the resources for all of them. Collaborative governance process. We already got that. Governance.
Mhm.
Is that a duplicate?
Nope, it wasn't.
It's the same thing, right?
It was just different names on it.
Why did that? I'll be like, it's like the same thing. I'll leave it there for now. Conflict resolution process. I didn't put my name here, but what we're doing now is kind of a part of that. One part of that. There's also some other elements that I know we need to add for the conflict resolution.
Why you put it in post?
I think I'm thinking about post and pre as kind of like different things. Post village launch priorities, pre.
I think we need to develop conflict resolution as far as we
That's
can
great.
right now. Yeah, like this could be like what we.
I'm just gonna do that like a
Yeah.
Popo fan type of thing too.
Ongoing, definitely.
All right, everything's organized. Okay. So, logical next steps, right?
Mhm.
All right, so we know, Deanna, where you are, the research you've done so far. Cynthia has submitted some marketing research and, proposals and some onboarding proposals. And Mello, you submitted the proposals on the governance.
Governance, yeah.
So, and Deanna, are you okay with adding the link that you said you wanted to add to this document here?
Yes, I'm doing right now.
Thank you. Under the one to type the heading. And like you said, I'll organize and create a folder for it. So let's talk about logical next steps, right? So we got Mellows for collaborative governance. This is my best thinking, y'all, but I want y'all's best thinking too, because we're gonna go on the fly on this. So I'm like, that's one of the pretty, so that's relevant for now. But I also feel like some of the things around like deciding around like land and housing and all those things are also like really important right now, right? And based on what I'm seeing, none of us have any of that just yet. So we'll hear. So yeah, I guess so. Right now it's like we hear from Mello based on what he has, and then maybe talk a little bit more about if anything needs to be said about any of the other ones that are under priority, the pre-village launch priorities, or it's just a matter of we know what we gotta do when we leave here for those of us who are working on some of these other things. Anyone else want to propose how we move, what we do next? Because that's how I'm thinking about it. Does that make sense? Anyone have anything else to add or propose?
I mean, I'm thinking about, finances. Go, was he saying something? Was he saying something?
So what area are we thinking for our housing and land again?
Well, hold on, before we go there, I just want to get clear on like what we're doing next.
Oh,
I want to get clear on that, because the way I had it in the agenda was proposal presentations and clarifying questions.
Yeah.
So it's really like Mello's the only person right now that has a presentation or some research that he can propose from this pre-village launch stuff, and I think that's the focus.
I think infrastructure. There's nothing in here that shows like how it will sustain. I think that's really critical in the
That's right
business. Oh, I didn't see that.
here. Yeah, business model economics, but nobody's on it.
I think that, okay, put me on that. So I think if I would throw my hat in there, I think governance and the business model, like those two are kind of the first things we should chip away at. Even before we get land or anything like that, we gotta understand what we're doing with the land. That strongly affects what land we're looking for. And then the governance is like, okay, how many people are we looking to build with? Who's coming in? You know, as you said, like they're coming through the filtration system first through collectively sustainable. It's a secondary kind of system that they gotta get introduced to. Where is that system? I think that's what we need to be working on now. I think I was just thinking from prior experience, we had some people coming in when we first, even before we got the 87 acres, we had a community we were kind of building with, and I remember vividly a house divided. So they were both wanting to come to this community, but the husband was kind of lackluster. The wife was more so on it, but he was really like, and it's like we had to really retrace from there. Like, nah, all parties must be equally, would that one encompass equitable, but equally like contributing to the progress of the, you know, the union or the unit. And I think that governance needs to be like, or the framework needs to be in place before we do anything. Kind of like blueprint before you build.
Yeah. I was wondering like how many people we are thinking, like in terms of like what's the cap of people for this first, you know, community. With that, like how many acres are you thinking with based on number per person?
And that's where Mello was going. Mello was going with questions as well. So it sounds to me what's emerging is there, like, what are the key questions that we're trying to answer first?
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. So what I'm hearing is business model, economics, fundraising is one of the key questions we need to answer first.
Absolutely.
Framework, blueprint, governance, onboarding. Then I heard business model, economics, fundraising. Does that encompass where we're trying to get land? Like what? Help me out.
No,
Yeah.
I think the business model, it can influence, it can, but we have to figure out what the business model is first.
All right, so to me, here we go, working group. Sunjata, Lawrence,
I think because I've been to these communities, I would want to be on that.
Tanisha. All right, like right away.
Almost like phases, like you're describing phases, a timeline.
Yeah, it's like, so that's what we're putting our heads together now to figure out like phases and how we want to operate within the phases, right? So we're in phase 1. Are we saying that we want everybody in on each phase and then later on we kind of break off? Or is like if you're not, or is it like if your skill set and your desire to contribute is on this phase, you just come and ask questions and give feedback based on what the working group for each phase does. You know what I mean? So maybe it's like phase 1, those who are doing it, it's our job to bring everyone else the proposals and then we chop it up together each meeting until we complete phase 1, then we don't go to phase 2.
That keeps everyone focused.
I like the idea of keeping everyone focused, and I like, you know, the ideas of both and, like multiple things can be done at the same time, especially things like, you know, focusing, like maybe picking something as important as phase 1, but also still remembering to focus on something else that might not be as taxing within that same bracket.
So what I'm hearing there, Kanisha's proposing that, like, let's say you have a phase 2 or phase 3 or a post-village, you know, passion and contribution, you can still be adding to that and adding it to the doc and gathering your resources, but we're not talking about that each meeting. We're only talking about phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, each meeting. Does that make sense to everyone? Does that feel good?
Yeah, whenever the right opportunity for you to present whatever idea you have.
It's done and it's ready.
I agree.
All right. So what I'm hearing, all right, so let's talk about phase 1. Let's get crystal clear on phase 1 in these last few minutes, right? So phase one, we have like the whole idea of business model economics fundraising. Does that all feel right?
Yes.
All right. So far, me, Lawrence, and Kenesha feel passionate about jumping in there to start doing some work. And then everyone else is going to stay in the areas where you are, unless, if anyone else wants to add your name to this, please do. And if not, are there any key questions that anyone wants to ask around this that we should be mindful of that's coming top of mind for you all around business model economics fundraising? Let's brainstorm here.
So we
It comes to my mind, profit, nonprofit hybrid, how that works.
Okay.
If it's something everyone's interested in pursuing.
land trust.
Do you think, you're saying, you're proposing that we consider both? Or should we consider both?
The hybrid, the hybrid, it's sort of a new thing, that's, well, not that new, but it's something that's pretty popular in a lot of, discussions I've been part of.
Okay.
It's a hybrid, that's a big word.
All right. Anyone else? What else should we be considering here?
I heard just trying to go to B Corp.
Should we be a B Corp? Okay. Yeah, I'm very versed in the B Corp thing. All right.
So is that more like a cooperative model, or maybe we should consider some type of cooperative? More, yeah. I think that's, cause that's when the members of that business have equal shares, right? That model, the B Corp.
How will we make money?
Yeah,
How will we raise money?
how can we raise money as a B Corp?
Does business model also encompass legal structure? Because that's kind of both in, right? When you talk about nonprofit, for-profit, B Corps and things, cooperatives, that's also like legal structure too, right?
Yeah.
That's also a part of that. This is kind of like a both and we're doing here, because I think it's like business model legal. No, it's like, yeah, those are kind of, and then economics fundraising. Is that two different things?
Well, I think at the root of it, the economics is just economic. It's the supply and demand. It doesn't necessarily have to have the legal aspect drawn to it. I think we need to be profitable so it can sustain first. And I think the legal aspect can still be drafted further down the line. We can move on some land and do all these things and not have a S Corp or B Corp or 501c3 or C6 and still like have framework and governance. And then later decide, okay, hey, we'll put all this in a trust, or later, hey, we'll put all this in this corporation. I don't think it's really necessary to throw the legal in there.
So you're still saying though, you think business model economics fundraising is like priority number one?
Yeah, like how are we gonna
And then legal is down the line here with like framework, blueprint, governance.
Yeah.
Oops. Anyone, think differently?
I'm sorry, I went down a rabbit hole on Googling B Corp, so I wasn't listening. Sorry.
Basically, Deirdre, Lawrence is proposing that we focus on business model economics and fundraising, and then we do the framework and stuff as phase two,
Oh, yeah.
or another phase, later phase, but you're saying like, you think still phase two?
Yeah. it could be
So basically, we're saying phase one with business model economics and fundraising, getting clear on that. How will we make money? How will we raise money?
Mhm.
What else encompasses business model economics fundraising? That's it right there, right?
Basically.
How will we make money? How will we raise money?
Yeah. How will we sustain?
How will we sustain? So we're charged with coming up with proposals, coming into agreement, and then coming back to you all with the proposal, answering those three questions. How will we make money, raise money, and sustain? Is there a question that's not there that you all have a question about? That feels good?
Mhm.
All right, so, what I'm proposing is that the four of us set up a time, either time or we set up some method of like some asynchronous communication on the dock where we're just putting our proposals in and we're all checking on it throughout the week. What do y'all think? Y'all wanna have another meeting? Sounds scary because I know we all got a million meetings,
Right.
Yeah,
I think an asynchronous.
but,
not-
or asynchronous, y'all wanna try asynchronous?
yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so what I can do then is I can create a doc with these questions, and then we all just come with our proposals. And then we just keep checking on it and revising it, asking questions. You know, we got 2 weeks until we get back to the group.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, I'll do that. Alright, I guess for now, how we sustain framework, governance, onboarding, land, does still feel about right? Land, search, housing, all that, number 3.
Yep, design, yep.
That's number 3.
Yep.
Alright, so leave it as is for now. And we can, or we got a couple minutes, y'all wanna like really put this in order some better? Like, Frank, you wanna fill out some more phases or come back and do some more phase work next time?
I'm wondering, based on what Deanna was gonna initiate and we never really heard, is what you were proposing, for childcare under like the business and the economic planning?
I don't think
So
that
I
was
have,
like,
yeah,
Okay.
mine was more question based, just to get, like, you'll see, you can look at the doc and see, it's more just to gather how we want that to even look like before we approach it business, like, I wanted to see, you'll see, I'm gonna, you have to look at it like that.
Gotcha.
Kind of see where I'm coming from with it.
alright, let's take 5 more minutes, it's 3:45, y'all. I scheduled this for the 2 hours this time. So let's do 5 more minutes, just putting this in phases. Phase 2, framework, legal, blueprint, governance / onboarding. Any other questions there that are missing that we wanna ask? Actually, no, I'm sorry, 4 questions, let's just go ahead and put them in order. For phase 3, do y'all think that's where we get into land search, housing? That feels about right, the way it's kinda lined up already?
Yeah.
Land search, housing. You know, I can just stay the way it is.
That's good.
Thank you for catching this, Kenisha. Off-grid energy, design, food production. We got legal up here. We got Deirdre. We're gonna say people. Or what we call Stewart Group. So we got Deirdre in that one for phase 2 stuff around framework, legal, blueprint, governance, design, food production, fundraising. Ashley. Governance, where's governance is here, so Deirdre, Mello, Lawrence. Alright, Mello, Karen, Cynthia. Mello, Karen, Cynthia. Outreach and marketing, is that another phase? That's probably like phase 4, what y'all think? There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll reach your market. That could be even later, we see what comes up.
Conflict resolution process, phase 4.
That should probably be earlier. I think we already have our conflict resolution process, we just need to put it in some kind, I think that's what framework,
Yeah.
conflict resolution would be like, the governance and framework.
True.
Think all along the governance as well.
Yeah.
How we make decisions and
Yeah.
things.
Mhm.
Yeah. Alright, y'all. Alright. Karen wanted to be in there too.
She already right there.
We clear. We got our work groups, our steward groups. I see I'm trying to change my language in real time. I keep saying work group, but I'm like, not steward group. All right, and as the week goes along, if there's anyone who has any questions that you can put into each phase, please go ahead and add them. Like questions that you have, you know, that you want this steward group to answer. Y'all know what I'm trying to say? The same way we did for the first phase, like what are the questions that each steward group should be answering? Go ahead and add them at any time. Y'all can jump into the doc. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. And to close us out, I had a question on the agenda, like a quick round, a closing round. What are you excited about now? And one thing you're committed to doing before the next meeting. Let's do that. What are you excited about now? And one thing that you are committed to doing before the next meeting. Based on our time together today.
Man, I was excited to take a step forward, and I'm excited that we took a nice little
leap.
nice little jump. I think these moments are the most important, they're the most crucial.
Yeah.
The framework, the planning, before the execution. So I'm really glad to just be moving in that direction. I'm still excited in the same fashion. And yeah, looking forward to doing my piece, looking forward to doing my homework, and kind of even, you know, just being able to present something next time to assist us in doing the same thing, just taking a step forward.
I'm really excited. I used to as I've been on this path, just always say like so many different ideas, things that I would see that felt like the vision. And I just saved it in like a message file and send it to myself. So I'm excited to like share that with you all, like share the things that's been coming up for me for years, and like to just put that into action in a concrete plan. So I'm looking forward to coming back with some definitive ideas and some concrete ways to move forward.
Likewise, I'm really looking forward, to doing my homework, say like a little bit from business economics. Portion, I'm excited that we haven't phased out. It brought me more clarity. Pretty sure everyone else more clarity, so I'm excited that we were able to do that.
Same here. I'm excited of the progress that I'm really excited of the progress that we're making so far, and just the ease and the collaborative relationship that we have. And I'm looking forward to like deep diving into what I could bring to conflict resolution and seeing how all of our ideas come together to create something great.
Yeah.
It's the synergy. Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited about, and it's kind of like excitement and gratitude in the way that we're kind of doing it, and that's what's kind of emerging for me. It's like my excitement is what I'm grateful for, like how our minds, our thinking together process just kind of flowed today. It was really, really cool, and how easily we're finding agreement and alignment on the decisions about next steps, and you know, in any given at each phase. And this is the work that takes time and patience, and we're bringing that to each other and commitment. So that gets me excited just to witness and be a part of. And I'm committed to doing the things I said I need to do, like setting up our document so that we can have something to share with you all next time around phase 1. Anyone else want to share, or did everyone go?
Appreciate all that was watching live, man.
Appreciate y'all for watching
We're gonna
live.
figure out a way to comment. I don't know how to comment on this thing yet, so we're reading them though. So appreciate y'all joining us as well.
Yeah. Thank y'all for watching and witnessing, and thank y'all for anyone who's watching and recording too. Thank y'all.
Just YouTube.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all.
That's so great. Y'all are great. I'm so happy to be part of this.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
All right, y'all. Well, enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday. Peace. Love y'all.
Bye.
That's it.
Is there a wedding next weekend?
Recording stopped.
Next Thursday, I believe.
This Thursday?